G'day, you cheeky dogs. Today we're going to be talking about the Bluey episode Work.
Oh, hey, what's up?
We're here for the job interview.
Job interview?
We're playing Work.
Work. Work.
Now, we're going to be going through all of the Easter eggs, Australian details, movie references, everything like that, but also about whether it's about a lesson in power and compassion, or if it's a social commentary on the idea of homelessness and how it happens. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about that.
No one wants my drain pipes. How will I get $1?
But first, if you're new here and you love Bluey as much as we do, don't forget to hit that like button, as well as that subscribe button and that bell for notifications so you know whenever I release any other Bluey videos. So let's roll intro and get into it. G'day cheeky dogs, my name's Margie and I'm an Australian currently living in America. Now, I'm going to start off with the Easter eggs first, specifically our traditional ones, because we do have 3 tennis balls, a long dog, and a pineapple in this episode. We have a tennis ball on the painting, as well as 2 tennis balls in the entranceway. We have the pineapple vase as well in the living room, and then we see a very vague outline of the long dog on the top of the shelf as well. This episode also has a lot of dog details in it, and Wendy is maybe my favorite dog detail in this, and the fact that she doesn't have a speaking line, but she barks the whole time, just like a dog would.
Would you like to buy a drain pipe?
We also, of course, have the paw prints in the concrete at the front of the house, and at times I thought that this would maybe be like Bandit, Chili, and Bluey, like before Bingo came along. But someone the other day mentioned that like maybe this could actually be Bandit and his brothers, which again ties into the house theory, which I've mentioned like the last 2 videos. But the idea that the Healer house is actually Bandit's family home. So the paw prints are actually like his and Stripes and Rad's, which I think would be a really cool idea.
That's me when I was 10 years old. On holiday with your Uncle Rad and Uncle Stripe.
We also have little dog details on the clock in the living room as well. We have the I thought I was a good dog line, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later as well.
I thought I was a good dog.
And Bandit's name tag, which is just so funny. And I love Bandit's, like, his way of drawing and the fact that this one is colored, but it's like him as like a big buff blue dog. And it's just a really cute thing. I think it's so funny.
Are you a hard worker?
Oh, definitely not.
Oh, it's okay.
Now, we actually have quite a few like music Easter eggs in this episode as well. The most obvious one to me, of course, was the singing in the rain. The whole dance scene and the music was absolutely like a rip on that, and I loved it.
What's going on out here?
I'm laughing at clouds.
Apparently the violin piece as well is called the Ground Theatre. I'm not a big musician buff, but that is what I saw on Reddit.
I used to work with that guy.
We do, of course, also hear Chili humming the theme tune to Bluey. And then the other one is the picture of Bandit on the drums when he's sitting outside the front of the house. Of course, this is a future reference to his outfit in the episode Neighbours. The next Easter egg, though, is Pavlova.
Bravo!
So a lot of people thought that the new episode in season 3, Pavlova, might have like tied in with this episode and like the character that Chili's playing. Of course, though, if perhaps you're not from Australia or New Zealand, you might not know the history of Pavlova and that it's not just a cake. It is actually a Russian ballerina, which is, of course, who Chili is pretending to be.
I am Pavlova, the famous ballerina.
It's her. Rabbit.
So Anna Pavlova was a famous Russian ballerina, and the Pavlova dessert was named after her around the 1920s. And it's a big contention as to whether or not it is a New Zealand dessert or Australian dessert, because it like popped up in both medias at like the same time.
My dance partner has sprained the ankle. He is weak.
Some other very like Australian references as well include the calendar picture that we see at the very start of the episode. So it's just a picture of like an old school outback Australian house, which we can see in a lot of like Australian artwork as well. We have them using what looks like gum nuts as the dollar bucks.
Here's some $1. And what about you?
Rabbit.
Ugh. You have one too.
And of course, them talking about slacking off, which I don't know, I feel like that's an Australian term, but maybe other people might be using that too.
Hey! You were slacking off at work.
The only really big edits in this, of course, was the bum scene. Guess who edited it? Disney Junior Asia. I feel like almost every episode has something edited out from Disney Junior Asia. I'm so sorry for all of you cheeky dogs who are down there, because people complain about the American censorship, but like I said, Disney Junior Asia is so much worse. So let's talk about then the theory of if this episode is a social commentary on homelessness. I'm going to talk about the power and compassion part in a little bit. But I do think it's a really interesting concept because Bandit is made to look like he is homeless, basically living on the street, trying to get by. And it does kind of show you like this whole idea of how this could happen. Everything from the idea that you can follow the rules and make no real mistakes at work, but one day, just because someone isn't compassionate, you can end up on the streets.
Please, clean more stuff with my bottom.
And desperately trying to sell stuff to try and get back on your feet and get a roof over your head.
Aw, no one wants my drain pipes. How will I get $1?
But still have people ignore you when you are in need, which is what we see with Wendy. And that is a reality of our society. Like, homelessness is a really big problem in a lot of first world countries as well. So I do think that this is a really interesting take on this episode and how some people have seen this as that sort of social commentary. And once I like sort of heard about and read about it, I can see where it's coming from as well. And I do think that it is a very like deeper kind of like subverted idea that you can see from this episode. And it could also be a really good way of talking about this with your kids if they ever ask you about homelessness and people and how that happens. This is actually a really good episode that you could use for that and to show, you know, people do start off all this way and they can end up being homeless because of what can happen in these sort of power dynamic situations. So I think that it could be a really useful episode as like a learning tool in that sort of situation.
Get out and don't come back.
What? You mean you're firing me? Please, this job is my whole life.
Too bad. Ow!
Of course, then there is the idea that this is just a lesson, though, about power and compassion and how to learn compassion when you are someone in power. So there is the whole idea that, you know, you can dedicate your whole life to work but end up nowhere. So maybe you should just follow your passion instead and be happy.
Well, I did always love dancing. Let's see if I've still got it.
So of course we see this idea through like Bandit, you know, always wanting to be a dancer, and then he ends up getting to be a dancer in the end and becomes really successful with it and is super happy.
You will dance with me tonight at the Grand Theatre.
Me?
Him?
You.
There's that lesson in it, of course, like rather than dedicating your life to something boring, do what you're passionate about. I think that's a cool lesson as well.
Well?
But then, of course, Bluey is the one who's really meant to be learning the lesson in this episode. So, of course, she goes through the situation of wanting power and then getting that power by just basically running a coup and taking over the work.
And what are you doing in my chair?
I'm the boss now.
What? Says who?
Says this.
Oh, this all looks in order then.
But of course, she's role-playing with this idea of power, and Bandit is letting her do that, obviously. Like, he's not saying, nope, game's gonna stop now, you can't do that. Like, he's letting her work through this idea through play. And of course, we see this happen a lot with Bluey, and we know this is something that Joe Brumm likes to focus on, is the idea of working through ideas through play. And Bandit's doing that. He's trying to give her the opportunity to learn compassion. Of course, Bingo, being sort of the slightly more compassionate child, learns it faster, of course.
This was your plan all along. Thanks, little froggy.
But Bluey does get there in the end. Like, she sees how dancing makes Bandit happy, and then she becomes happy for him and his success and things like that. So she does become slightly more compassionate towards the end. She doesn't offer him his job back, but you do see her change in attitude. So I do think that's sort of an interesting thing to sort of show that lesson as well, about how you can also change your perspective when you're someone in power.
I used to work with that guy.
But, cheeky dogs, let me know in that comment section down below, how many long dogs would you give this episode out of 5? For me, I would probably... This is one of those episodes where, like, I kind of forgot about it, and then you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, this episode's fun. But it also, I don't know, it's not one of my favorite episodes, so I would probably give it 3 out of 5 long dogs. The music's great, there's some funny jokes in it, we have some Easter eggs, and I do like that. And now that I've like seen some of the comments about the social commentary with homelessness, I do think it's a really helpful episode to try and explain that to children. I think that's really cool. Maybe not initially intended, but something that is very cool that you can add with it. Maybe 3.5 long dogs. I don't know. Cheeky dogs, let me know what you'd give this episode down below. But while you're there as well, don't forget to hit that like button as well as that subscribe button and that bell for notifications so you know whenever I release any other Bluey videos. But until all then, I have picked you cheeky dogs out a few other videos that maybe you would like to watch, and I will see you all in another video. Mwah! Bye!